Hello, my name is Carol May Whittick, Spiritual Life Coach. Thank you for tuning in to Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. This week, the topic is spirituality, your superpower. A quote from Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And just a quick reminder before we get into the episode that you can receive additional meditation, journaling and inspiration notes to go alongside this episode if you use the link in the show notes and join the Her Inspirations mailing list. If you do that, you will also receive the free Embody Higher Energetic Resonance course, which runs daily for 6 days. So let's get into it. From Amit Ray, Meditation, Insights and Inspirations. Your greatest awakening comes when you are aware about your infinite nature. Spirituality is probably one of my favourite topics, which is why I went into spiritual life coaching. And the reason why I'm fascinated and so enthusiastic about the practice of spirituality is because I believe it is your superpower. It can enhance and enrich your life in so many ways. And in particular, we're going through really challenging times in the world, you may have noticed. And this is why I believe that it's imperative for your survival or your thriving to be able to really have an awareness of more of yourself outside of or an extension of your physical reality. If someone was to say, okay, define spirituality. For me, it is a higher awareness. So if you imagine we start with our physical awareness as we're born, we're learning to walk, we're learning to eat and take care of ourselves on a very physical basis. Then after that, we kind of delve into our intelligence and our mental awareness, using our mind, using our language, ways to communicate. And once we've mastered that, then maybe we will expand into now more emotional intelligence. The expansion of on emotional intelligence then is spiritual intelligence and spiritual awareness. It's just another layer of awareness that then informs all of the other levels of awarenesses that we have. Spirituality for everyone is their own personal journey of exploration, and for many people it will mean that they begin to find a purpose and a meaning to their life. They start to then connect to a greater part of themselves. When I'm coaching, I'm all about there being a personal philosophy, you finding your own personal spiritual philosophy, finding the practices, the beliefs that resonate with yourself and your own truth, so that you can then get a fuller experience of your own life. Then also be able to cultivate a real sense of who you are, a real sense of your own awareness, and have gratitude for your experience, whatever happens. It means that you then start to see that there's more to life than what meets the eye. You start to explore and enjoy the exploration of intangible things such as your emotion, such as your intuition, and bring them in line, trust them and use them to enhance the way that you navigate the world on a daily basis. It's moving you out of the limitations of your ego, which is a necessary thing. We're playing the game of human here as well, but also it's getting us to getting us to transcend the limitations of just relying on what we see and what we experience in the material world. It's being able to recognize moments of wonder, moments of awe in the world, being in a state of surprise is an old song that I wrote and I'm quoting. It's feeling oneness with something, feeling that you're in tandem with something that has a power greater than you've allowed yourself to experience. And when you really feel in communion with this, you start to make powerful and very strong choices that align with your higher self. And you feel a sense of purpose and wanting to be a positive contributor in this world. Spirituality for me is outside of religious boundaries, and you can tailor it to suit your individual beliefs and your individual experiences. So how can spirituality relate to your modern life? If I use my own experience, spirituality will give you a sense of overall well-being. I find that I experience stress less if at any point. There are moments when I start to tense up about things, and then I remind myself, pull back from that moment and think, hang on a minute, like I'm going into this contraction, I'm going into this fear. Let me look at this from 1,000-meter perspective. What I find is that women who have embarked on spiritual journeys have also experienced very profound transformations in various aspects of their life. I find that they manage to find a strength in their femininity, and they find a peace in the experiences that they've had, and also getting to a space of healing themselves, being able to hold space for others in a loving way. And also the most difficult of all of them, it would seem a lot of the time, is to be able to move into a deep sense of forgiveness and understanding for themselves and for all people. There's a real sense of empathy, a real sense of understanding where people are coming from. And that's not to just lay down and be a doormat or allow people to use you. It's to find a sense of strength by being in that spiritual space, understanding yourself as a spiritual being, and feeling a sense of lightness. If I kind of bring in the way that I feel about things, is feeling a sense of peace and lightness about situations. And that is despite all of the things that can happen that will knock us off center. It's a way of, okay, I've experienced this. I know that there is somewhere that I can go to that feels better than this, but also bring the lessons of what I'm being shown at this moment in time. So it's not about any kind of spiritual bypassing, which is when you don't want to look at anything dark, when you don't want to acknowledge how you've been culpable in situations within your life. It's being able to assess and embrace that and move through it and be stronger and a better person as a result. The idea of feeling connected to nature and the universe is, a lot of the time, I think this is what people will find woo-woo and kind of a little bit too out there. It's like, how is that possible? But if you just think of it in very simple terms, because ultimately the terms are simple, of just sitting in a garden or going for a walk in a park, or just lying on the grass and looking up at the clouds, and that sense of peace and stillness, and maybe in that moment you feel like a sense of aliveness that maybe during the course of your day rushing around that you don't get to really feel into that, because there's so many things going on, there's so many things that you have to do. We're constantly got some sort of technology at the end of our fingers. We're scrolling, we're responding, we're reacting more than anything. We're feeling discouraged, we're feeling lost. But then when you have those moments when you can just sit and be still and feel into that, and where do you go? What are you tapping into? That in itself, from my point of view, is you feeling into your spirit. That's the greater part of yourself that never leaves, but a lot of the time we turn away from it and we block it, we shut it down. There's so much anxiety and lack of direction and fear, and I believe that comes from that not recognizing that there is the opportunity to reconnect to that part of ourselves. If we're able to know that that is there at all times for us to just kind of plug into and bring us a sense of calm and peace, and knowing that actually things are okay despite all of the mix and the mayhem that may be appearing, that by just pulling back and feeling into that, we didn't go anywhere and yet we're sensing something. So what are we feeling at this point? The more that you explore spirituality, if you know that there is always something that you can lean into, if you know that there's always some wisdom that you can tap into, if you know that there's always going to be stillness, calm that can happen at any moment, even in the midst of, you might be on a train right now surrounded by people hustling and bustling, you probably haven't even got a seat, but knowing that you can just close your eyes and be in that space of spirit, that will give you a confidence that you're like, do you know what? It could be going heads up, tits up, whatever. This is always available to me. And your journey into spirituality will spark and strengthen that connection to your inner wisdom, into your intuition. And as you become more confident in that and more trusting of that, you start to then make decisions that are aligned to that part of yourself which never goes away, that part of yourself that is your authentic self. And then you'll be able to navigate yourself through life in a new sense, knowing that it's all good, knowing that you can do this, you've got this. Your superpower, your spiritual superpower will imbue you with resilience and empower you. Many of the women that I've spoken to over the years, many of the men and women that I've spoken to over the years on my other podcast, Her Conversations, is there's always this recurring theme of finding a sense of themselves that made them overcome some of the most challenging and difficult experiences in their life, the setbacks, the losses, and they've just managed to find strength, resilience, managed to find a sense of purpose, and it's opened them up to their own spiritual belief. Once they've come through that, it's just so transformative for them. It's so confirming for them. All they ever want to do is then give back. They find that they have a greater compassion. They find that they have more empathy towards themselves and to others. They become kinder, they become non-judgmental, even when they're around people who they don't necessarily fully agree with, and kind of understand where people are coming from, why people hold their beliefs that may be initially problematic, that maybe in earlier times without your spiritual practices and without you delving into your own spirituality, you may not have been able to sit with somebody who was seeing things in such a different way. That spirituality just gives you a sense of letting people be, letting people figure things out in a time and at a time that's suitable for them, understanding that everyone's figuring it out as they are going, they're working it out in a way and at a pace that is comfortable for them. And spirituality also is a way of opening up your creativity. I've spoken about this before. What really solidified my knowing that there was more to this world for me was my creativity. I could always lean on it to create something new for myself. It was a constant source of my own inspiration. And if you break down the word inspiration, it's in spirit. So, all of these things are showing us that there is more to the tangible world. And I feel more people are really awakening to that now. Delving into my creativity was exploring and diving into deeper levels of my own consciousness that then became my way of thinking, my own unique artistic expression. So how can we apply spirituality in our daily life? In the beginning, I don't think it's helpful for anyone to go headlong into any kind of modality and try and prescribe themselves sitting for 20, 30 minutes a day on a yoga mat and trying to zen out. You can build into that unless you're that kind of person that's all in. You don't want to set yourself up to think that something's so difficult. There's probably ways in your life that you're already meditating, going for a walk in nature, reading, knitting, just being still, digging in the garden, even washing the plates. For me, I find peace and stillness in just a simple movement like washing the dishes. I know some people might find me weird and hate that, but it's just a time to turn off and just do something and maybe just observe myself doing things. Within our everyday life, there are moments where we are feeling into a bigger part of ourselves, and it's just to take notice of when these things are happening. So instead of thinking that you're not intuitive, thinking that you can't meditate, we all do this. We probably just don't give it the name that everyone gives it, and therefore we don't recognize where there is so much overlap. And also think about when it comes to intuition and thinking that you're not intuitive. We've all had those moments where we just know something. when we could walk into a room and feel the energy of a room and know that something went down there. Maybe someone's just had an argument, or you can be in a space and you just feel that someone's looking at you and you feel that energy. These things are real, and we've all had experiences of unexplainable instances that then we kind of brush off as coincidence or nothing special. But why do we expect it to be whiz and bang and thunderbolt and lightning? The spiritual part of ourselves is always present. So it's not necessarily going to show itself in some kind of magical, overblown way. If it's there all the time, you just have this constant knowing. It's for you to decide that you're going to open up and receive as and when you're ready. Staying open and in the question of, what is spirituality? What can that do for me? How would that change my life? What am I seeing already in my life that shows me that there is more to what I think there is? And just stay aware and see what happens. Often you may come across someone will recommend a book for you. You might overhear something, or you might just get a knowing or an idea when you're in the shower or going for a walk. Sometimes it's your intuition and your own voice just comes in a whisper, your own spiritual awakening and path. Sometimes it's just very gentle and is just a very measured unfolding that happens over a course of time. And also what I love about spirituality is then once you're opening up to this new awareness, it will shift and open up new experiences for you. And you'll find a new way of connecting with people. It's not just about the external aspects of somebody and what they look like and what they've got and where they work. It's feeling where they're coming from in their heart. If you're in your heart, then you start to speak to people from their heart, and you start to bring to you the people that want that as well. It changes your relationships. Your relationships become richer and deeper. And I think that's what we all need, really, is feeling that that sense of belonging, that sense of camaraderie, that sense of being understood and being seen. And it comes from us, you, me, delving deeper into our own spirituality and living from what we're finding and bringing that into our everyday, because then it will open up opportunities and spaces and places and people and things that come from that, and we'll realize that we're seeing the world and experiencing the world in a completely new way. And to close, a quote from Bill Hicks, the comedian. "Folks, it's time to evolve. That's why we're troubled. You know why our institutes are falling, the church, the state, everything's falling. It's because they're no longer relevant. We're supposed to keep evolving. Evolution did not end with us growing opposable thumbs." You do know that, right? So thank you for listening, and just to reiterate, if you're getting value from this series and want to go deeper, then I encourage you to join the mailing list to receive additional learning points that you can use to meditate, journal, contemplate. Also, I'll send links to additional resources, and as time goes on, I'll be putting some exclusives in there for you as well. You'll also receive the free Embody Higher Energetic Resonance 6-day course. And then if you're ready to take the next step in your transformation with support, accountability, radical honesty from me as well, contact me to find out more about my personalized one-to-one spiritual life coaching program. The links for all of these things are in the show notes. You can find me on my website, carolmaywhittick.com, CarolMaywhittick.com, on Facebook, Carol May Whittick, on Instagram, Kazmic, Kazmick. So until the next episode, enjoy this one. Have a great week. Take care. Bye.